Greetings everybody, welcome back to the channel, and I guess here we are. We talked about MGS 1, 2, Sons of Liberty, and 3. And I hope I'll definitely link all these videos in the description of this video, by the way. Because now it's time for us to talk about the biggest game of them all. The final chapter and the final part of this Metal Gear Solid experience / review, quote unquote review, is the 4th game of the franchise and the biggest game of the franchise, Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. Yup, we are now reaching our final destination, the final game. So strap in, because this might be a long video, probably longer, either maybe I'll make it shorter, I don't know. What happens, I guess. So strap for the ride. It's time to go on our final ride, our final destination, MGS4, Guns of the Patriots. And let's begin. So, Metal Gear Solid 4, the game came out in 2008. It was a PlayStation exclusive. Literally, all the Metal Gear Solid games are PlayStation exclusive titles. Except if you count the HD collection, which came from the 360 as well, so you got that one. And just before we start this, as I'm recording this, today is the 1st of September. By the way, as I'm recording this, so today is the 6th year anniversary for Phantom of Pain. So MGS5 Phantom of Pain, so yeah, happy birthday MGS5, I guess. So yeah, so I'm recording this the 1st of September, by the way. I'm recording today, so yeah, you've probably seen this video maybe on the 5th or 6th, I don't know. God knows when this video will be posted, so just look at that out of the way. So, Metal Gear Solid 4 takes place in 2014, and keep in mind, the last game we talked about the first game of the chronological series. Now we're going to talk about the final and last game of the chronological series. Like, timeline wise, it's the final game. So we fought aliens, we fought like super AIs, a strong unit. So what we got now? So now Snake, if I forgot to mention this, he has cursed genes. I didn't mention this. He has cursed genes that he's rapidly aging. And Snake here is been called Old Snake. Yeah, that's what he called. So yeah, Old Snake. And his time, his life is coming short to an end. Otacon was trying to help Snake to see different doctors, and all came the same. This is his rapid aging. He has cursed genes, so now Snake looks like a goddamn 78-year-old with a fucking mustache. And by the way, just to tell you, I made a video about the character, about Solid Snake, and talked about that Snake. I was just talked about it. It was funny. So Snake, Snake meets with a retired colonel, Roy Calmo, making his return, and he's a retired colonel right now. So now the story of this mission, the plot is Snake doing his last and final mission, one final mission, is to find Ocelot, Liquid Ocelot, and end this rivalry once and for all. or find them once and for all. And the rival is like a wrestling match. Anyways, so they found him in the Middle East in a war zone. So Snake decided to infiltrate the place, of course undetected as usual, the usual Snake thing. And he goes around and seeing these robots called geckos. Yeah, those things are insanely scary. Yeah, they're pretty scary though. Pretty terrifying. So so Snake definitely of course infiltrates the places and all that. And then he went around and meet a person, a monkey and a person called Dribbin. Dribbin is a gun launcher. So Snake tries to use definitely new weapons to find like guns and all that type of stuff. He can't use it because he has old nanomachines, so he's old generation. So Dribbin is acting with a new nanomachines to use modern weapons and ID and all that type of stuff. And they just talk about like the distinguished things about nanomachines, and every single person has an ID chip to like the thing and the weapon and all that. They literally explain everything that some people are confused. I know the game has a wide thing, like pretty extensive, like telling you extensively, sorry, about the whole thing. So Snake goes around and he meets a kind of a soldier, a fox soldier to be in fact. And Snake just pulled out an MGS1 line when he met Meryl. And speaking of which, Meryl made her return. There's gonna be a lot of returns from the first two games. The characters gonna they're gonna make their own return. And we found out as well that Rose, after the events of 2, she broke up, or she, stayed away from Raiden because he went out of control, he went crazy and all that type of thing. We'll talk about Raiden a bit. And she found out that she had a child with Roy Campbell. Yeah, a child with Roy Campbell. So basically she's Roy Campbell's kid and wife. So yeah, it's kind of weird an old dude just marries someone that young. And she had kind of that short mom hair. She looks kind of cute with that short hair. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes short hair are cute. Anyways, back to the topic. So back to the story. That's actually we're talking about, not a story. So Snake goes around and just tells Meryl, say, hey, we have, a team. And I like that one of the guys have an exclamation point and did the other sound effect. That was funny, and I found it to be pretty hilarious. I imagine Snake completes just like this and then like just shots the guy with a pistol or something, with a tranquilizer gun. So yeah. So Snake traverses with the Fox unit and found he found Liquid Ocelot. Liquid Ocelot has someone else with him, Naomi from the first game. Yeah, she's definitely not as trustworthy. She's not trustworthy in the first one, nor even here. Yeah, sometimes she's a bit of a biatch. Part of my language. Or find them once and for all. And the rival is like a wrestling match. Anyways, so they found him in the Middle East in a war zone. So Snake decided to infiltrate the place, of course undetected as usual, the usual Snake thing. And he goes around and seeing these robots called geckos. Yeah, those things are insanely scary. Yeah, they're pretty scary though. Pretty terrifying. So Snake definitely of course infiltrates the places and all that. And then he went around and meet a person, a monkey and a person called Dribbin. Dribbin is a gun launcher. So Snake tries to use definitely new weapons to find like guns and all that type of stuff. He can't use it because he has old nanomachines, so he's old generation. So Driven injected with a new nanomachines to use modern weapons and ID and all that type of stuff. And they just talk about like the instinctive things about nanomachines, and every single person has an ID chip to like the thing and the weapon and all that. They literally explain everything that some people are confused. I know the game has a wide thing, like pretty extensive, like telling you extensively, sorry, about the whole thing. So Snake goes around and he meets a kind of a soldier, a fox soldier to be in fact. And Snake just pulled out an MGS1 line when he met Meryl. And speaking of which, Meryl made her return. There's gonna be a lot of returns from the first two games. The characters they're gonna make their own return. And we found out as well that Rose, after the events of 2, she broke up, or she, stayed away from Raiden because he went out of control, he went crazy and all that type of thing. We'll talk about Raiden a bit. And she found out that she had a child with Roy Campbell. Yeah, a child with Roy Campbell. So basically, she's Roy Campbell's like kid and husband and wife. So yeah, it's kind of weird and old dude just marries someone that young. And she had kind of that short mom hair. It was kind of cute with that short hair. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes short hair are cute. Anyways, back to the topic. So back to the story. That's actually we're talking about another story. So Snake goes around and to tell Meryl, say, hey, we have a team, and I like that one of the guys have an exclamation point and did the alert sound effect. That was funny, and I found it to be pretty hilarious. Imagine Snake completes just and then like just shots the guy with a pistol or something, with a tranquilizer gun. So yeah. So Snake traverses with the Fox unit and found Liquid Ocelot. With Liquid Ocelot has someone else with him, Naomi from the first game. Yeah, she's definitely not as trustworthy. She's not trustworthy in the first one, nor even here. Yeah, sometimes she's a bit of a biatch. Part of my language. So, moving into the next level, to the next chapter of the game, it's definitely Naomi. She took a test for Snake, and Snake is basically said that his time isn't, when she sees him, she's crying and being in tears, and said that Fox die within him is manifesting and become bigger and bigger, and he'll become like kind of like a virus and all that type of thing. I guess thingamajig. I really don't get too much about the full Fox die thing. Sorry about that. So, and then prior to that, I think after that, he got a call from Raiden. Yes, he got a call from Raiden, who sounded a bit different, and he's no longer Jack anymore. He's calling himself Raiden, and he has fully transformed from a human to a full-fledged cyborg. And I think this is where I liked Raiden. I like Raiden in this game, and because, oh my god, he's so edgy. Oh my god, look, he's so edgy now. That's why you like him, because he's so edgy. He's a lot more improved, a lot more calm, he's a lot more intelligent and smart, not being naive. So at least he's being that. And Snake has met with a couple of what was it called? There's a part in the first chapter. I forgot to mention this because my brain's just all over the place. My apologies. That Snake has fought these Fogs. I think this name is called Fogs, which is definitely a female military team. They go around shoot, shoot, shoot. We'll talk about the gameplay later, by the way. We'll talk about the set pieces in a bit here. So let's go chapter 2. We meet basically the four bosses of the series: the Laughing Octopus, the Raging Raven, the Crying Wolf, and the Mantis, the Screaming Mantis. So you got these four bosses. I hope I don't miss one. I might miss one though, but hey, maybe I'll do a mistake too. So you fight the Laughing Octopus as your first boss. Try to kidnap Naomi, and it's like defeated. It's just every time, and we'll talk about the bosses in a moment there. I was about to say about the bosses, but we'll talk about the bosses in the boss section. So after Snake defeating Laughing Octopus, Dribbin talks about that this chick is like backstory. I like when every time you defeat the boss, she'll definitely get your backstory and all that type of stuff. So we're jumping in. I think like Ocelot escaped the Middle East and decided to go to Europe or something. Yeah, goes to Europe and found out that Otacon tells Snake that to meet a certain individual called Makapluka. I butchered that shit definitely. Makapluka, aka Big Mama. You find out next chapter. And then like in the third chapter of the game, Snake went in and Snake went in and wear her face camo, disguised as a younger version of him, and then he followed a guy. Yes, he followed a dude all the way to a church. And Makapluka, aka Big Mama, is actually Eva from MGS3. So basically, she's one of the oldest characters from MGS3 is still alive to this day. So, and found out that she is the biological mother of Snake. Yeah, she's the biological mom of Snake. We don't know who the father is by this time, by the way. So we don't know who's the father. So, and then Eva talks about how him and Adam, aka Ocelot, being like together, and talks about the missions and taking care of baby and all that type of stuff. And you got a cool scene in the driving, the bike scene. You fight the boss. Then you find out that Big Boss's Kamiko's body, Kamiko's body was in a van. So after getting through the places, Ocelot reached Eva and Snake. Eva died, and Big Boss's body, Kamiko's body, was thrown in the river. And then they give us one of the coolest cutscenes in the game, when definitely everybody in Foxhound was completely surrounding Ocelot, and then he did some cool move, whatever. It's a freaking cool cutscene, and it makes Ocelot look like a badass doing it. I just love the cutscene. He has the guns of the Patriots. He's basically just basically with his finger, his point, just points at anyone, just pooh, and kills that person. Pooh, kills that person. Pooh. It's amazing. It's awesome. And then Ocelot has went to a specific area in the game. Yes, we are going back to Shadow Moses. You start the level, you play a bit of Section of just 1, which is by far the best part of the game, and by far the last 2 levels of the game are by far the coolest and the best levels in the game. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention in chapter 2, you see Raiden goes all samurai mode and everything. Oh yeah, as well, Vam makes his return. Yeah, Vam from just 2, the one and only surviving member of Dead Cell still alive. Yes, he's probably the other one who actually survived. All members of Dead Cell are dead. Excuse me. All members of Dead Cell are dead. So all we have now it's just Vamp. Vamp is the only member from Dead Cell that's still alive. So, yeah. Then, you know, you got some bit of Beauty and the Beast type thing with Naomi. It's kind of, what the hell. And Naomi's like, kind of like plays two sides of the coin or whatever. I don't know, she plays like two sides, like the good and bad and all that shit. I don't know, Naomi, she's just a confusing chick, really. I don't know, I really didn't care about her, honestly. And then, you know, we find out, of course, that a bit later that Johnny has in love, and Johnny has a big case of diarrhea. And I mean, he's like definitely the same Johnny from MGS1 and MGS2. If you go in places when you hear him use the mic and stuff. Yeah, some other sections in the game, which is kind of funny. A section funny to hear. This type of stuff is pretty much hilarious. So, so back to Shadow Modes. After you play in the Shadow Modes, apart from just one, he had a nightmare and basically a dream. Then Snake is rise of Shadow Moses. We're back. We're all begin. We're all started. And you play the music, and I love the segment so much. It's amazing. Such an amazing segment. The entire level is by far the highlight of the game. In my opinion, the highlights of the game. It's fucking awesome. Amazing. It's just breathtakingly awesome. I love it. I love it so much. It's just amazing. You find like mini geckos, there's a lot of flashback scenes, or like, you know, voices of flashbacks, all that type of stuff. It's just amazing, you know, getting through. And then you go to Otacon's old office from MGS1 when you fought Gray Fox one-on-one and all that type of stuff. It was amazing. And the whole part of like people telling me because Snake is old, like Meryl's just being a bitch to him for some reason. Why they call him Old Snake? I love how funny it is. Every time they call him Old Snake, his psyche gets lower. It's just like, it's kind of rude to call the guys like, okay, he's old, so that had to say to his face. We make him feel depressed. Jesus Christ, why the fuck did they do that? There's like no need Meryl used to do that, and just like also try to see, he's so old and beaten up, he doesn't have that good memory and all that shit. Not senile. The dude's not senile. The dude can freaking go around, still freaking goes to war like no problem. Like any freaking soldier. Like, what the heck is this? Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, don't underestimate an old timer. But by the way, speaking of Otacon looks like fucking Steve Jobs. And when I saw, I was like, okay, why my boy look like Steve Jobs? Sorry about that. Why he looks like Steve Jobs? He got the sweater, he got the glasses. All you need to is just having short gray hair. There you go. It could be freaking some, like, you know, looking old a little bit. He'll become Steve Jobs because he got freaking Apple product the entire game. Freaking Otacon look like Steve Jobs. I always say, why the heck he looks like Steve Jobs when I looked him closely. I was like, Jesus Christ, man. No wonder why his look came from Steve Jobs. Oh my god. Jesus, I still gotta talk about it, dude. It's just my thing, dude. Oh, anyways. There's a part with him just telling the password. I was like, oh, I remember the password? Oh, if you fuck up the password, say there's some alternate lines and shit. I was like, wow, really? And then, you know, just a bit of quickness here. There are some unused dialogue, and there's actually areas was cut from the game. The part when you see the war dog, the part when you get the hallway and the war dogs, the room when you fall Psycho Mantis, the bathroom when you meet Meryl, if you get there quick enough. And there's actually lines on YouTube, you can check it out on YouTube. It's a really good. When I first saw it after beating the game, I was like, my god, it was amazing. It was such an amazing segment that I just like literally love it. I was like, oh my god, that was awesome. So They cut that from the game, but they had some new segments. And then what they with Ocelot wanted is actually something within Metal Rex. So we go in the place where we fought, which is definitely the hangar which we fought Metal Rex, and where the resting place of Mr. Gray Fox where he died. And then you fought some vamp, and vamp dies and all that shit. And then you got a cool fight between Metal Gear Rex and Ray. It was awesome. And then Raiden came in. And the thing is, Sunny made her debut into the game. If you don't know who Sunny is, she is the child of Olga. Olga's child that we talked about in MGS2. That was the child. So there's still like the rule of, you know, if Raiden dies, she will die. Still goes on. So yeah, it still goes on. So we have that, and what's to say? So Raiden is definitely just straight up stopped Ocelot's ship. By the way, the ship's called Outer Haven. He stopped Outer Haven, and with his one arm, god damn, it's just a physical strength. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool in my opinion, which is really good. He's basically just pukes his more oil, or just I think it's just puke. Yeah, it was kind of gross. And then we met Mei Ling. Yeah, Mei Ling making her return as well, which is awesome. She's definitely the person you want to stay in the game with and all that. It's pretty cool. Which is pretty much awesome. An awesome reference to that. Now, Snake have infiltrated Outer Haven to stop Ocelot, and inside Outer Haven is actually the Super AI GW, the same AI that corrupted Raiden's codec, turned the game console off. Yeah, that one. He goes through a furnace, through an amazing moment, and the theme song hit. And a song called Love. That song just came in, and just you see a war and battle. It was an amazing shot when I played. I was like, my god, this is actually awesome. And then she can stop the whole thing, and then GW's been stopped. It would GW's turned off completely. All the robots, all the fog, and all the Metal Gear rays are all shut down. They're all shut down. And then a few later scene, you see Ocelot. First you see like Otacon try to help Snake and help Snake, and then the next shot you'll see you're basically being with Ocelot. And then Ocelot reveals I said, like, oh, it's all the stuff that was recording the plan, and all that should record the plan. And by the way, he wasn't imitating Liquid. The reason for his using Liquid's arm so he can fool Snake with like, Liquid's in my head, Liquid, like I have Liquid's conscious in me and all that shit, it was always a charade. It was always a fluke. Went from, infiltrate, was there from implemented by Ocelot. So that's what I'm trying to say. Sorry for just trying to thinking about the words. So in his truth, it's just like one's world peace. And then he decided to say, let's have one last battle, which culminates in by far the most epic boss fight in the Metal Gear Solid franchise. It's basically the end of an era. It's the final boss fight of the series. It's by far a fight of epic proportions. It was amazing, awesome, and then Snake finally defeated Ocelot, and Ocelot dies. And then, oh yeah, I forgot that Snake has went through Outer Haven and fought Scream Mantis. We'll talk about the boss as well a bit later, in a few seconds. So, the end happened. It was Johnny and Meryl became married, husband and wife. Roy Camel and Meryl are reconciled. The relationship. Rose found that Rose and her kid. When Rose told to Horizon that he's her son, so she was faking the whole miscarriage and everything. So she was, close to Roy Campbell to keep her safe and her child. And yeah, Horizon became a happily wedded man with his wife and kid. Unless he goes back to Revengeance and he goes out fucking insane mode. If that can count that in. So, and Otacon and Driven became friends, and we found out that Driven is a part of the Patriots. Yeah, he was part of the Patriots, and there's like many Driven. It's not the only Driven in the world. There's like many Drivens all over the world. And then Snake, I think he killed himself. He lost himself. Now, let's talk about the controls of the game. Wait a second. We're not about to talk about the controls. A shocking thing happened. Hold on a second. Big Boss made his return. Yes, Big Boss made his return, and he was alive. I told out that all that shit was a kind of like a charade, the whole thing, I think, or something like that. And found out that the comatose body that Eva found was not Big Boss's. Wasn't Big Boss. It was actually Solidus. And Big Boss said that Solidus was the quote-unquote perfect clone of Big Boss. I can tell the resemblance between them. And found out that Big Boss is actually Snake's father. And then, he was with Major Zero was like old as fuck. And then he told about what happened in all these years prior to MGS1. About after he killed the boss and became the Big Boss, he formed the Foxhound, and there was a battle there was a power struggle or a battle between Big Boss and Major Zero towards Dane. And then Foxhound had I think killed all the other members, which basically were Paramedic, Siget, and those people are dead. All that's left are Ocelot, Eva, Big Boss himself, and Zero. And then decided to, in his final act, to end Zero's life, to just completely get up on life support. And then the Fox died within Big Boss, just completely disappeared. It just, just came in, and his life was at its end. And he said, a pretty touching moment, he said, when he killed the boss, he was already dead. So, he was dead back in 1964, after he killed his, basically, mother figure. And the reason of the death of Eva and Ocelot is because of the fox died within him. But the old fox die was gone. There's it replaced it with a newer one, so he kept on living. And his final act was basically sitting in Big Boss's grave with a cigarette in his mouth and his life. Yep, that was a pretty touching moment, and Snake was kept on. And roll the credits. That's pretty much it, and that's the end of Metal Gear Solid 4 story. That's the end of the story of the timeline. So Snake was happy ever after, I guess. That's what they say. So yeah, a very touching post-credit ending. Very touching, very sad ending. But hey, at least Snake can go live on for how many other years? Probably he might die in the next game. Who knows? There might not be a next game. There's not gonna be any MGS6 for just continuing the story. So Yeah, what a very touching moment. Yep, now I'm done talking about the story, which definitely took me so long to talk to because the story is pretty long. Now, gameplay and controls. Controls are basically the same, they haven't changed the control scheme of the game. The gameplay is a bit different, it's different than 3. Not in every single turn, but there are a lot of differences. There are some stuff carried over, like having, camos, but more like, the camos are more like automatic camos. They're not like camos from MGS3. So you have that, and the game's kind of like a bit of a mindless third-person shooter, right now. But you can just make it first-person, first-person shooting and all that type of stuff. Yeah, but for the first chapter that I wanted to mention was so bad. I hate the first chapter when you and Meryl and the old Foxhound team fighting a bunch of fogs and go ahead and shoot everyone around. I was like, am I playing Gears of War or Call of Duty or am I playing MGS? That really kind of pissed me off and kind of made me feel like just completely, just absolutely like kind of pissed me off, and it turned me off, but I persistently kept on going, and I'm glad I kept on going. Otherwise, I never played the game or never do this review on the 4th game. I was gonna do the 3rd game and that's the end. So yeah, it's just a kind of a shitty part, and yeah, the parts of the game are pretty good. The layout as well. It's a lot different from a war zone to a place to Europe, back to snowy Alaska, to Outer Haven. So the game has a lot of set pieces, a lot of awesome set pieces, a lot of areas. Really cool, and I love the graphics because the game with the PS3 looks so good. It even looks good to this day. The graphics looks nice. All the graphics, really good. The soundtrack's amazing. Now bosses. Weakest boss. I think this game has the weakest bosses in the series. I'm not the biggest fan of some of the bosses in this game. Bosses in the first game were really good. Bosses in the second game was a bit better. 3 was amazing. 4 was kind of meh in the boss department because I'm not a big fan of these boss fights. The only ones I like are the part with Screaming Mantis. When you fight Screaming Mantis, kind of reminds me of fighting Psycho Mantis, and then versus Psycho Mantis and everything. The fight between Metalgear Ray and Metalgear Rex was amazing, and the Liquid Snake final fight. So I love that part. That part is actually such an amazing part. I love that part when you fight. And another gameplay thing I love about it is the flashbacks. The flashback mechanic. That's another awesome mechanic. I love that mechanic when you have a cutscene and you watch it. All the cinematic in the game. I like when you press X and you see flashbacks of previous happening. I was like knowing a character or an area or something. I like the first one when you have next to the Saul's name was grave next to the grave and you press X, you see Big Boss. Was fucking awesome. It was an awesome flashback. I love that. A lot of awesome flashback scenes. Pretty amazing ones. I love that system. That system's amazing. Now another system they kind of add in, which I think to me was kind of a turn off. I don't know. Is buying weapons. In this game, whatever you do, the way you fight enemies and everything, and by end of each level you have points. You earn points for buying weapons, ammo, and guns. So you have a shitload of arsenal of weapons. You can change them anytime you want to. It's kind of like the backpack, but I kind of miss you finding weapons and use them. This game has the biggest arsenal of weapons, from handguns to machine guns to custom rifles to a fucking railgun to anti-missile launchers. shitload of weapons. There's a bunch of weapons in the game. Insane amount of weapons. It drives me crazy. It does drive me crazy. It really drives me kind of nuts a little bit. So, yes, that, and the boss is kind of a bit weak in comparison, so we got that out of the way. Now let's talk about something I've mentioned on the first one, music, which I kept it for this part, so I've been waiting for talk about music. Metal Gear Solid has a pretty cool array of soundtracks. I'm gonna list you guys my favorite 5 soundtracks. Alright, ready? Ready? Here we go. MGS3, Young Ocelot. Old Snake, which is the theme I'm using in this video. Old Snake. Themes. Amazing theme. Snake Eater. What else? The Alert music from just one, and The Best Is Yet to Come. Those are my favorite 5 favorite soundtracks. I love a lot of MGS series. So my favorite 5 soundtracks. Let me know what yours is in the comments. Really amazing soundtracks, those 5. But I already said because I paused a bit of recording because of my one drink. My throat hurts. So sorry if I sound a bit rusty because my throat's been hurting a little bit. Difficulty, same thing as before. Easy game. There's not much of difficulty except like the game that has like the best difficulty is the second game in terms of difficulty. The easiest turns to be like 3 or 4. Both those games are good. And now the conclusion. What I think of the game, really good game. I love it. A bit of the same way. I'll kind of keep this game on my second favorite MGS game. Kind of my second favorite to like kind of like my third favorite game in the series. If I'm gonna give a chart, number 1 is number 3, then number 4, then number 1, then number 2. Now, please don't think things like, oh my god, you hate number 2. I love number 2. It's just like my first one I played. But I think the story was a bit confusing for me. Sometimes I'm in the loop. They're all awesome games. They're all amazing. They're all amazing. So, that's it. That is the end of my Metal Gear Solid 4 review. That concludes the series. That concludes my experience, guys. It was so much fun for doing the video. It was amazing, fun, entertaining, and I had so much fun doing it. If I want to give my final verdict of the entire series from 1 to 100, I'll give it 90 out of 100. A really fitting, deserving rating. By the way, MGS4 rates kind of 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, 4.5 out of 5 is good. So that's it. That concludes the video. That concludes the entirety of my MGS series. And yeah, that's the end of my experience. Hope you guys enjoy all of them. Hope you guys have fun and all that type of things. So yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, see you later.